Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. This all started 5 years ago when I, 40 female, caught my ex-husband, 43 male, cheating on me with my husband, Jay's, 35 male, ex-wife, 35 female. When I caught my ex cheating on me, I was devastated. I started gathering evidence of them having an affair. Before I broke the news to my husband, I wanted to inform Jay about his wife's affair. Needless to say, Jay was very upset. Things were complicated for him because he had a son with his ex-wife. From then on, we met almost regularly to discuss what our next plan would be. I gave him the number of my lawyer. In our country, we need a year of separation, so we were both separated while still married to our spouses. We started seeing each other a lot more. Sharing our pain off the betrayal helped us to get through a lot. This turned into a physical relationship. I knew that I loved him and wanted to seriously consider moving in together after our divorces were finalized. Even Jay expressed something similar to me as well, that he wanted to start fresh after all of this. I always urged him to move out of his house because he was living with his wife at the time of separation. By the end of their separation period, he told me he cannot be with me. He wants to reconcile with his wife. He said that he realized that if he divorced, his son would be hurt more. He realized this when they celebrated his son's birthday a few days ago, when he and his wife acted like a normal family. And to make it much worse, I found out I was pregnant. I vented out to him that he cheated on me. He promised to be with me, and now running off to his cheater ex-wife who didn't care about him. If he leaves me, then he will never see my face ever again. The choice is his, me or her. I said those things in a fit of rage. The thing I didn't tell anyone was that when we were having I was not on birth control. I didn't tell him that I was not. He just assumed I was. A week later, he called me and said I opened his eyes. He wants to start a new life with him. His marriage was far too broken to come back to its original glory. I cannot tell you how happy we are. We welcomed a baby girl. I also love his son like my own. His ex-wife was not happy about it at all. She blames me for ruining her family because before I announced my pregnancy, they had a shot of reconciliation. But he changed his mind after my ultimatum. Over the years, I did feel guilty about it. I've asked my husband before if I was the reason why he didn't go back to his wife. I felt guilty about my ultimatum because that was just a pregnant woman ranting. His answer would always be the same. He doesn't regret leaving his ex-wife because he knew deep down he can never trust her. With me announcing my pregnancy, he saw hope. We've been happily married, but this guilt I have will never go away. I feel sorry for his son. My parents were divorced, and I remember how much I hated it. Though his son gets along with me and my daughter, deep down, I know he wishes his family was together. I feel bad for lying and forcing him, and this has been killing me from the inside. Well, baby trapping is always a bad idea. In my opinion, two people need to agree for having a baby first, but it's also two people's responsibility. Looks like OP's partner wasn't responsible in this case as well, so I don't know if you can call it baby trapping, unless he asked and OP lied to him about being on birth control. Also, who knows if it would have been possible to save his previous marriage. Maybe it did turn out for the best for him, and he can start fresh with OP, so OP shouldn't blame herself too much. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Visible Arachnid 8790 says, "To be honest, OP, if there wasn't any baby involved and your now husband reconciled with wife, when that son gets older, he will learn the truth and despise his mom. I think this outcome is better, and your husband will probably be a robot husband to his ex-wife. He can never trust her again. FYI, she ruined her own family." Consistent says, "From what I read, you didn't baby trap your husband. You caught your ex and his wife cheating. They were the original cheaters. Then you and your husband trauma bonded, and y'all became cheaters. Neither of y'all were separated from what you wrote. It didn't sound like y'all separated from your spouses. You stated in the comments that you stopped taking your birth control because your ex had a vasectomy. It sounds like neither of you had that conversation to express whether or not you were on birth control or not. You didn't tell, he didn't ask. The ex-wife can be mad all she wants. If she wouldn't have ever stepped out of her marriage, You would never had a chance to step into the position you're in now. I don't think you baby-trapped your husband. I, 34 female, haven't had a relationship with my sister Amy, 37 female, since she screwed me over while I was having a miscarriage. One of my jobs is running a family business with siblings and mom. The other is at a hospital. My sister gave herself a raise, a promotion, behind everyone's back, then abruptly quit her other job the next day. None of us were having that and called her out during an emergency team meeting. She apologized, and we all decided to revisit this in a month or so. I had the option of getting that raise, promotion. We were thinking of flipping a coin or discussing more to figure it out. I ended up miscarrying a few weeks later. I'm depressed and in pain, and Amy texted me that it's been a month and I need to make a decision now if I'm interested in taking her job. I told her I needed time while I went through this and that I was not in a position to make any big decisions. I said, if anything changes, we will discuss it as a team and give you as much time as you need to get another job, if I won the coin toss. Amy's a nurse, could easily get hired back at the hospital. A week later, my mom, 78 female, owner, semi-retired, announces Amy would permanently take on that promotion, increased pay. I no longer had the opportunity. No warning or team meeting, just a text that my sister wrote on behalf of my mom. My mom admitted this to me later. If you haven't picked up on it, Amy is controlling, aggressive, self-righteous, impatient, and unyielding. She's only close with my mom, who is very passive. No friends really, and my other sister, 42 female, doesn't speak to Amy either for different reasons. I stopped speaking to my mom and Amy. Mom apologized and initiated going to therapy to work on our relationship. I agreed, and things got better. We hired a mediator to establish new policies so things like this don't happen again. One of the policies was a bereavement leave for things like miscarriages. Amy said she doesn't think anyone should get a bereavement leave for a miscarriage and that people would take advantage of it. Everyone disagreed with her. At this point, she still hadn't apologized, so this made me feel better about cutting her out of my life. My brother and mom want me to get over it. My brother got annoyed with me for not inviting her to my 10-person birthday breakfast. I'm always polite and professional at work, but that's the most of a relationship I want with her, and I think that's fair. My mom asked my other sister and I to encourage Amy to come to Christmas, after Amy randomly sent out a text saying they won't be joining this year. I told my mom no, she's an adult and it's up to her. If she does come, I'll be polite and keep my distance. My mom got mad and acted like I'm in the wrong. I do feel bad thinking about her 3-year-old not coming though. Her daughter is so sweet and loves her cousins, aunties, uncles, and grandma. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to contact my sister to ask her to come to Christmas after she screwed me over while I was miscarrying a baby? I don't think OP is in the wrong here. Keep the family peace means OP's feelings mean nothing and her sister's feelings mean everything. If OP invites her, what will change? OP will still resent her. I'd personally never have anything to do with OP's sister ever again. OP is under no obligation to invite her. The selfish actions of some cannot be forgiven and forgotten. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Satellite Beach 123 says, not the a-hole. Why is it always on the person who was harmed by the actions of another to extend the olive branch? Your sister created the drama and family problems, yet you're the one expected to get over it. Sounds like yet again, Amy just wants to create drama by announcing she's not coming for Christmas. That's on her. You never said she couldn't be there. If your mom and brother want her there, then they can encourage her, not you. Cursed818 says, not the a-hole. Sit your mother and brother down and remind them that Amy is manipulative, deceitful, and basically a thief for what she did with the business. They are lucky you didn't get a lawyer and sue, which you absolutely could have done. To be honest, you still could, and I would in your position. They need to keep their mouths shut about how you are managing what little relationship you're willing to have with this nasty, rude, and insensitive aggressor. If they don't, you need to start treating them the way you treat her, because they are also pushing you into submitting, and that's never going to happen. My husband Chris and I live in a 4-bedroom house. I have 2 daughters, 16 and 10, and each have their own room. My older daughter needs privacy. My 3rd room is for me and my husband, and the 4th room is for his dog. Now, with a baby on the way, we've been going back and forth on where we should put the nursery. My husband flat out said that his dog's room was off limits, and casually asked me to pick one of the girls' rooms and have them share a room. I was shocked when he suggested that. I argued with him, asking if he was serious about this suggestion, then called him unreasonable. He yelled at me, saying I cannot be acting shocked and call him the unreasonable one when my 10-year-old daughter has a room all for herself. I flipped and called him delusional, and we had a big argument, then stopped talking to each other. He's pissed, saying I clearly think so little of his dog to be willing to kick him out of his room, then reminded me of whose house this is, which I thought was uncalled for and unfair since I've been paying more towards the mortgage and all that. Am I the a-hole for my reaction? And by the way, the girls are his stepdaughters, not biological daughters. He even made a comment about asking their bio dad to pay to build a room in the house. Of course, he was being sarcastic. Gonna go ahead and put this piece here as requested. Copy-paste a response to a question. He's had him for 4+ years. He's overprotective of him, and there's always a fuss in the house because he thinks that my family and friends scare the dog and give him bad vibes, and so he provides him with his own space. Dog's sleeping most of the time in that room. Doesn't even do anything with all the stuff my husband put inside. Basically wasted space in my opinion. It's been like this since my girls and I moved in. It's his house, so there isn't much I could do to change it. Also, my 16-year-old isn't having it. She's telling me that she'd go live with her grandma if this scenario happens, which makes it even worse. Now I feel stuck between a rock and a hard place. Even before this happened, he's always thought it'd be better if the girl shared a room, but I insisted on my older getting a room for herself. He thought that would divide the girls and put distance between them, but in my opinion, a 10-year-old and 16-year-old siblings don't spend much time together anyway. Exceptions when my older is watching her sister when I go out of town. Humble Donut says, "You do realize that you and your daughters are guests in his house, right? This is not a marriage. This is a tenant landlord with benefits. I hope you have kept the evidence of the mortgage repayments you have made and any other money spent on the house, because they will come in handy later." Oh, and he wasn't being sarcastic. How many times does he say something insulting or derogatory and follow it up with, "It's just a joke"? Not the a-hole. The red flags are flashing brightly here, but I'm not sure you're seeing them all yet. Royally Okie says, "Not the a-hole. I can't believe you made a child with someone who thinks like this." Larvakite says, "I've never even heard of a dog having a bedroom. How can someone give a dog a bedroom over a human? What does the dog do in their bedroom? Homework? Change clothes? Chat on the phone with friends? Play video games? Your husband is delusional. Does the dog even spend that much time in its bedroom? Not the a-hole." My godson is a high school junior, and next semester he's going to start sending out college applications. It's been decided for his whole life that I was going to be paying for his college tuition, and that's more or less the reason that his parents made me his godmother. But my godson didn't know I'd made this agreement with his parents until this week. So this week, my godson and I were talking about his college plans, and he said he wished he'd known I was doing that for him, so he could have thought of a good way to say thank you. I told him that I would consider us even if he'd apply to a certain university. The only reason I want my godson to apply to this university is because once upon a time, it was my dream to attend that school. But I let my high school guidance counselor talk me out of applying, and I've always regretted it. It would make me vicariously happy to see my godson get accepted to this university, even if he decides afterwards he'd rather go somewhere else. I know that's a little silly, but I think it's harmless, especially because he's not emotionally attached to the school and won't be upset if for whatever reason his application is rejected. However, when my godson's parents found out I'd asked him to apply to this school, they were upset, mostly his mother. She's adamantly against him applying there because in her opinion, it's too far away, and she's afraid that if he gets accepted, he might upend his current plans and choose to go there instead of a closer school. And she said that it's crappy of me to be giving him what's supposed to be a gift with strings attached and holding money over his head. I disagree that I'm attaching strings, because I only brought it up when my godson specifically asked me what he could do as a thank you gesture. And I don't think I'm holding the money over his head, because I'm not saying that I'll only pay for school if he applies here or if he enrolls here. I'll pay for his tuition no matter what college he attends, and I've never suggested otherwise. But am I the a-hole for asking that my godson applies to this particular university? I think his parents are overreacting because of their own baggage, but I can somewhat understand that they might have a point about it not being the right thing to have said. I could have told my godson that he didn't need to do anything special to thank me. Blanket Statement 5 says, "It would make me vicariously happy to see my godson get accepted to this university, even if he decides afterwards he'd rather go somewhere else." As long as this is actually true, and you're not going to pressure him to choose that school if he does get accepted, then not the a-hole. You're asking him to apply, not to go. If the parents are getting upset because they don't want him to go further away based on their own plans, then they're the ones who are trying to limit his options, not you. Laurel Sen says, "Not the a-hole. This is a silly situation. It's an incredibly mild case of living vicariously, and he gets to choose where he goes." Toxic Alexa says, "You're saying his parents have baggage, but you are being practically the same. Let him choose where he wants to go. He doesn't need to apply to your dream university just because you regret not going there years ago."